The Caitlin Clark injury mystery tour continues. Caitlin Clark has been ruled out for Sunday's game. So it has been, I think their next games are Wednesday and Thursday of next week, if I remember correctly, back to back games. So she's saying hopefully she's ready for those games. Personally, I think if she's been out this long, it'll be what, 10 days when the game rolls around on Sunday. So, what, almost 2 full weeks now before she were to play again, but then you're going to jump in with a back injury that's had you miss 2 weeks. You're going to jump into back-to-back games. Seems doubtful, seems unlikely, which means Caitlin Clark may not play basketball again until July 12th. By the way, congratulations to Caitlin Clark. Despite everything that's been going on, a little bit of good news is she was just named. I almost feel like this is the WNBA. I wouldn't feel this way in any other league, but I almost feel like, hey, you know what? With everything that's going on, we got to get a little bit back. So let's give Caitlin Clark. Now it's deserved, don't get me wrong, but she's earned things before without getting them. Let's give Caitlin Clark the June Eastern Conference Player of the Month. So congratulations to Caitlin Clark for that. Although she's probably not thinking that that's the biggest of deals right now with everything else that is going on. But we really need to get into this. Caitlin Clark is missing now 2 games in a row, third game in total from a back injury that we are told is not an injury. Let that sink in. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate all of your support. Hope you all are having a fantastic day. Shout out, of course, to the 19, which is every single one of you who support this channel. Hey, I just realized Alyssa Thomas, by the way, WNBA, by the way, Angel Reese, specifically, by the way, I would find it fantastic if you would speak out against your fan who threatened me with physical violence because I said Angel Reese needs to improve her agility, which, by the way, is where the 19 came from, because he then came back and said, my 19 cousins are the only people that watch this channel. But anyway, let's get into this. Now, before we discuss this injury thing a little bit more, just to finish off with the player of the month, because I think this is interesting timing with check out my video yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right? About the starting in the All-Star game, but where she was voted. So for June, Eastern Conference was Caitlin Clark. Western Conference was Asia Wilson. Caitlin averaged 21.9 points, 4 rebounds, 8.2 assists per game in the month of June. Got player of the month. Now, when does the season start? May. When was the first game? It's not even all of May. Wait, I want to double check this. 8th. So we had just over 2/3 of the month of May and all of the month of June. And Caitlin Clark was named the best player for the month of June, which would be more than half of the season. And yet, somehow, the players in the WNBA managed to vote her the 11th best guard in the entire WNBA. Not 11th best player, even though she was player of the month for June in the Eastern Conference, which entails more than half of the season so far. They named her the 11th best guard. I'm sorry, but we haven't even had 2 full months. For a full month, she was the best player in the Eastern Conference. Please explain to me, bring the facts, bring the receipts, how Caitlin Clark is the 11th best guard in the WNBA, right? None of it makes sense. You scratch beneath the surface just a little bit, and all you find is hate and bigotry and jealousy and pettiness. That's all you get from this league. Now, let's roll that into this injury thing. Caitlin Clark now missing another game. She missed the last game. If you remember, let's go back. She missed 1 game earlier in the season, and we got a whole lot of nonsense when it came to what it actually was. We were told it's a back injury. Then we were told it's load management. Then we're told, no, 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 it's not load management, but she's not injured, but we want to play it say like what? It's either an injury or it was load management. But we were told it's not an injury and it's not load management. And then Caitlin Clark eventually came out herself and tried to salvage the whole thing and maybe protect her team and organization a little bit after they completely and disastrously fumbled it time and time again and said, oh, it was me with a mental hurdle with the injuries that I faced last year. And I felt this little thing on my back that normally I would probably ignore, but I got in my own head, had a little bit of a panic, and decided not to play, which I didn't really buy completely from a competitor like Caitlin Clark. And I'm not knocking Caitlin, right? This is the thing we see her put in these situations time and time again, where she has to come out and say stuff that I think we all know she doesn't completely believe, but she's the consummate professional. So she's going to do her best to bail out her team. She's going to do her best to bail out her league and all of the other players and on and on and on. And we've seen that time and time again. So now, again, we still have not been told. We all know now that because of that debacle, every single game, the Indiana Fever put Caitlin Clark on the injury report as, probable or questionable because of her back. And yet, we still have not gotten a single piece of information about this supposed back problem. At this point, obviously, it's very clear it is a recurring issue. It's very clear that it is an injury. And yet, we still have nothing other than now Caitlin Clark is missing games. Caitlin Clark hasn't played in over a week. She's not going to play in a couple of days. I think it'll be 10 days for Sunday since the last time she played, and she's not playing in that game. And it's very likely, it's what, July 3rd now? It's very likely she doesn't play again to the 12th. So we're talking about almost 3 weeks now between games for Caitlin Clark. Now she might play, but what I'm saying for the two upcoming games is back-to-back games. It'll be almost 2 weeks since she hasn't played. We're talking about the lower back. It doesn't make sense to me if there is a legitimate problem with her lower back. It doesn't make sense to miss almost 2 weeks and then come back for a back-to-back and also play the Phoenix Mercury, right? That doesn't make any sense from a long-term standpoint of, hey, we have to worry about this season. We have to worry about the future. We have to worry about a playoff run. It wouldn't make sense to come back for those back-to-backs, especially when then you have another gap all the way until July 12th. So that may be when Caitlin Clark actually finally comes back to play. And people are kind of tired of all this stuff, man. They're like, enough's enough. What is actually going on? Someone, I'm out too. If I were her, I would just skip the rest of the games. F the WNBA. I wonder what game she's going to play in that back-to-back in Los Angeles or Phoenix, or both, or neither. No way in hell is she playing in Phoenix after what just went on since last Wednesday and dealing with that team and Alyssa Thomas again. This has all strategically been done since last week. Well, I'm sorry, Caitlin, but I'm still out too. So round of 16, here I come. World Cup reference. I got hopes to watch back-to-back next week. I got hopes. Yeah, and there's just a whole lot of that. Like, people are tired, they're exhausted. Man, I hope she doesn't become the Mike Trout of the W. That would suck. Mike Trout was that was early on, but he was on pace to be the greatest, if not at least one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And he just keeps getting derailed with injuries over and over and over again. The WNBA don't care about Caitlin Clark. They never have. It's a damn shame. And then I want to wrap up with this, and I only bring it up because how can you not with everything that's going on with this league? And that is she actually hurt? The other options are this is punishment, this is a suspension, or the flip side of that is this is Caitlin Clark saying, "Nah, man, no, I'm pulling myself out for now." Maybe there are trade negotiations still going on. We don't know. And these are questions that are legitimate questions that need to be asked with the drama surrounding Caitlin Clark all this time, especially when, again, we have still not been told there's actually a back injury. But now we're going on at least 2 weeks of time, thankfully, for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, this is a weird scheduling period for them where they have very few games. And so she's not missing a lot of games, but normally in 2 weeks, she might miss, 4 to 6 games, as opposed to this being only the second game that she misses. So, it's getting wild in the WNBA. I know a lot of people are checking out of games. I mean, they're still keeping tabs because they're Caitlin Clark fans, but they're not going to be watching games that don't have Caitlin Clark. I mentioned that in a previous video about the ratings drop on the last game last Saturday on CBS compared to the previous ones with Caitlin Clark. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward, to see if we get any details about this back thing. People are going to start thinking this is a lot like 2025 where they're being strung along as well. So lots of questions that need to be answered. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do me a quick favor, like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, hype on mobile. Y'all know the drill. Go have a fantastic 4th. I will talk to you. And by the way, I know I have an international audience as well. Apologies. I know some people gave me 4th of July wishes in the comments, and I do appreciate it. But it's just my brain there goes there automatically. The league's in the US. I'm in the US. So, apologies if that offends you. Anyway, I will talk to y'all later.